Okay, we are live again. We've had 2 shows today, and we have 3 shows tomorrow. It's getting kind of crazy over here. So we interviewed Ray Borum from the UK earlier today, West Ham fan from Dagenham, living in Liverpool. He has some cool stories to tell. Wayne and Gary from New Mexico, but they're, both British, interviewed a Brit. So that was fun. Tomorrow we got Belfast Hammers on the show tomorrow morning, and that'll be an awesome one. And then we got a guy who frequents our chat room from the UK called Jason. You'll see him in the chat room as Jason. We'll have him on tomorrow. And what else we got? The transfer roundup on Monday night, which will be good with the boys, with Scott Davis and the boys. And then Wednesday, we got a guy from Boston on the show. And Thursday, we got another guy from Mile High Hammers, one of the founders. So that's cool. We've had a bunch of people from Mile High, but none of the founders, so that'll be neat. Anyway, we're here with a recognizable face if you watch American Hammers TV, Nick Stampar. What's up, Nick?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Awesome. And the other recognizable face, Lee. You like those posts I make, those photoshops of you and Andy Carroll?
I think they're fantastic.
You know what happened was, just so everybody knows, we I think it was Gabe. Gabe was like, he must love Andy Carroll because his hair is just, I've never seen hair like Lee, like Andy Carroll. So, you know what? It gives me a good idea. I'll Photoshop his face on Andy Carroll photos and use those as our flyers from now on.
I mean, there was a time when I loved Andy Carroll, right? There was a time when we all loved him.
Yeah, we all did, yeah. I was excited when we signed him, yeah.
He could walk and, he was mobile and, I don't know. I think the poor guy's, pretty much confined to a wheelchair now or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either that or he's on another top secret, he's another top secret rehab stint, which I'm convinced is what half his injuries were anyway.
Yeah. Real quick.
For some sort of substance. Maybe it was Strava Craft Coffee. Who knows?
Speak of the devil. So I forgot to mention the sponsor so far. So, Strava Craft Coffee, man, out of Denver, Colorado. Link in the description below. Premium craft coffee. I mean, they make regular stuff without the CBD, but they make a lot of good stuff with the CBD oil in it as well. It's StravaCraftCoffee.com. They've been great to us. Also, someone who's been great to us is drinkwaredesign.com. Yeah, man, you can get whatever logo you want on these cups. You can get I love Nick, or I love Lee, or I love Scott Davis, or I love, or whatever, your own supporters group's logo on there, whatever you want to do. Because I know Wayne from Dallas has West Ham logo on one side, and on the other side, he's got Dallas Hammers. That's pretty cool. He gets his Jameson in there. Actually, I think it's something different. I have a rabbit.
I have one that says I love Lee. So
yes, you did.
That's what mine. That's mine. That's mine.
I love myself. Yeah. That's awesome. So Nick, man,
this is like lead number 1. That's all it says.
Lead number 1. There you go. Yeah. So Nick, man, how on earth did you get into West Ham?
I get that a lot.
I like when I said that.
Yeah. Pretty much verbatim. I haven't gotten any better at answering it though, in terms of like keeping it short and sweet. But
no, we got all night, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's what it comes down to. Growing up, I was never really that into football. I didn't watch a lot of football growing up. Maybe until high school, I started to sort of pay attention, and I figured I needed a team to help, motivate me, give me something to care about. And at the time, I knew that I didn't want to just sort of glory hunt and pick a team because I knew they were good. That had always bothered me. I'm a Detroit sports fan, and so the idea of supporting a team that wins a lot is just entirely foreign to me. I did get
the Red Wings now. Now I don't know how old you are, but you had the Red Wings in the '90s. Now,
we had the Red Wings for a while. It feels like forever since then. And I did have the 04 Pistons. That was a great year. But with those brief exceptions, and not to mention, or I guess in addition to that, coming from Detroit, my grandfather worked for General Motors for his whole life. And so when I was introduced to West Ham as this club, this working class club that was literally founded by iron workers, that sort of felt familiar.
Hit home, yeah.
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 And so it's and you know, with a similar win record to Detroit sports, it's not really a far cry from from what I do with all my other sports time. So landed pretty comfortably in at West Ham and haven't looked back.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But where are you now? You're not in Detroit anymore, are you?
No. We moved from Detroit when I was a kid. Grew up in Florida, and now I live in New York City full time. And so a frequent attendee of Smithfield Hall with the NYC Hammers.
Oh, you are? Right on.
Yeah.
So what's that experience like?
Oh, that's fantastic. I remember I was up in New York for a couple months back in 2017. I had to go back to Florida to finish grad school before I moved up here full time. But I managed to catch the second game of the season, I think it was at the time, at Smithfield, and it was the only game I was able to go to. And then I literally had to like head to the airport to fly back to Florida. It was Southampton away, the game that Arnie got sent off in like the first 30 minutes or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Despite how like unreasonably disappointing that game was, pretty much entirely, especially we lost on a pen in like extra time or something like that, if I remember correctly. I made friends immediately with like an entire table of Hammer supporters that I was hanging out with. And I was like, I know I got to get back here. I'm like, I don't care what it's going to take. Like, I got to come back here. This is going to be where I'm going to be every Saturday morning. And sure enough, it's where I spend all my Saturday mornings now. Which fortunately, being on the East Coast, I have a lot of respect for our Hammer supporters out in Fresno and Denver and that, because I cannot imagine. I remember I was with myself, Dan Roberts at Roberts Daniel on Twitter, and Tony from American Hammers podcast. Tony had come in town to visit us the week that we just played Arsenal at home when Declan got his first goal, and that was a 7:30 Eastern kickoff, and like in February in New York, so it was like God knows what temperature outside, and we're getting up
miserable
before sunrise to go to the bar. And I'm like, Scott is probably up already cracking into his first bottle of wine.
Yeah. True.
Can't imagine.
True. Well, he runs a restaurant now. It's market.
It's research. It's
exactly. It's not
Exactly.
a problem. It's it's his business. That's understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool that you hang out with those guys. How long have you been in New York?
Just about a year full time now.
Oh, okay. So so
Right.
relatively new. And have you experienced any other West Ham groups? Have you been back down to Florida or to Detroit or any place like that with anybody else?
No, not that I can top of my head. I feel like every time something happens that I see something going on in Florida, like I remember I'll see somebody from the UK will fly over and vacation in Florida and will like hang out with the Orlando or the Tampa Hammers, and it's always like right after I come back from visiting my parents. So it's been pretty poor timing, but we also, I guess, because most of the Florida groups, I know Tampa has a decent amount of people, and I think I've seen Orlando on Twitter before, but where when I go back home to visit my parents, we're a couple hours from both, so it's not typically super convenient to hit either of those. I have not made it out to Denver yet to hang out with Mile High Hammers, but I did. A friend of mine moved to Denver and was complaining that she hadn't made friends. And she doesn't really watch sports, but I was like, I can't help you with that, but I can help you with the friends thing if you want to show up at this pub. I'm like, there's people there that you can hang out.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So I have sent envoys to other West Ham fan groups, but I need to make some time next season to hopefully find myself at a couple of those.
Definitely. That's on the list, that in Fresno, obviously, even though that would be brutal, waking up early for those matches. But Fresno, and not only that, but Denver seems easy. You fly in and there you are in Denver. But Fresno, you got to go to like San Fran and then fly down or drive down or whatever. It was crazy. That's why I ended up, choosing Dallas to go check out, for my first American Hammers trip. And dude, you got to go see them too, man. It was phenomenal.
I mean, naturally, I'm going to the Vegas event in August.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Good.
Right
while that doesn't necessarily count as going to Dallas to hang out with the Dallas Hammers or whatever, hopefully I can pick up a bunch of scarves or something and
Yeah. No, there's going to be a lot of people from all over the place because I know Alamo City for sure is going to be there too. I know there's a bunch of bits from the groups.
Scott from Denver's going. I know Scott's going, and I know some of the people out on the West Coast are going. I know I won't be able to go. We're on vacation in Maine like the week before. It's just not going to be feasible. Tim, I don't know if you're going or not, but
if I had the money, I'd go. If someone wants to pay for my way out there, I'll be more than happy to go.
If I had the money, I would go. But also, it's a little hard for me because we're going to be gone for a week and then come right back. But maybe Nick, maybe you can like cover it for us. Maybe you can like take some videos for us this time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we can create some content. Why not?
Well, Scott will be there too. Yeah, you guys should just bang on some bitch fest and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah. Bitch fest. Why not?
Scott's working for us anyway at this point. So
at this point, yeah.
Well, he is. He probably does more than I do now. He's all over. He does a Monday night show every week, and yeah, he's doing a great job. So you've carved a nice little identity for yourself on Twitter.
Yes.
And I'm just curious. I don't know what sort of led you to do that. What was your motivation? Twitter's a rough place to be. You know what I mean? It's not a nice social network.
Yeah.
I'm very like careful about what I put out there because
it's the Dorchester or Harlem of
exactly.
Twitter can be a challenging, an emotionally challenging experience. I remember I feel like a lot of people with Twitter, the first time you get a Twitter, you don't get it, and you use it for a little bit, and then you delete it, and you're like, I don't understand what the big deal is. Yep. And then everybody ends up crawling back later, and it clicks with somebody. No, so a lot of people watching, and you guys will have noticed that I use 2 different accounts, and I get a lot of questions about that. That came from, so I had my personal Twitter forever that's, on as Stampar. And that was just like, I didn't really have any agenda or, plans with that. And then I had a couple friends of mine, some of whom are football fans, some of whom are not, but they started giving me shit every weekend because on Saturday, inevitably, my Twitter feed would go from like an occasional tweet about whatever was going on or like retweeting something I saw to like the volume would increase tenfold and it would all be about West Ham. And they were like, Nick, can you please stop? Can you please stop like filling our entire feed with your West Ham like out of context reaction tweets to what's going on in these games that like none of us are watching. And so I guess to appease them, but also sort of to poke back, I was like, oh, fine. Like, yeah, I'll just go make a sports Twitter. I guess that's my thing now. And that probably wouldn't have lasted had it not been for the banner on my sports Twitter is a really intentionally crudely photoshopped Dick's Sporting Goods logo that I changed to Nick's Sporting Goods. Right. And as lame and low-hanging fruit of a joke as that is, it's just good enough for me that like it was like, oh, now I kind of like I feel like I got to run with this. Yeah, and that's allowed me to I can have my personal Twitter account and interact with people, and they can know me as like a human being that's not what I am when I'm at the bar watching West Ham. And then whenever I need to escape to Nicky Sports, I can go over there and let loose, let the hair down to steal a strategy from Lee, I suppose. But
now, do you? I mean, you must from time to time get into some, discussions with fans of other clubs, right? I mean, So who's the worst? Who do you think is the worst group of supporters you have to deal with on Twitter?
So I know that this is probably unpopular, and it's definitely not the worst that I've seen. Not unpopular, it's just not probably most people's answers. I've seen other people have the worst interactions with Spurs supporters.
Right.
Personally, my most annoying interactions are always with Chelsea supporters. Especially because a collection of them are friends of mine who love to take the piss. And so that I've just never I'll meet Spurs supporters who, especially in the context, I feel like it's maybe easy to meet somebody who watches the club casually or they needed a team to support, but they don't know the level to which there's animosity between our clubs. And so it's not a big deal. And Spurs were mediocre for long enough, their entire history, that like they, you know, have some, at least some semblance of like sense about them. The Chelsea supporters, especially all the American Chelsea supporters, started following Chelsea when they won the Champions League, and all they've known is complaining about finishing lower than winning the league. And that really pisses me. I remember distinctly one of my friends, a good friend of mine from college who happened to be a Chelsea supporter, was the week that we played them at home when we beat them 1-0 a couple of years ago. I was texting and we were chatting about this, talking shop about the game, and he was like talking a big game. He was like, "Oh, I don't even know if I'm going to get up and watch it. Like, is it really worth waking up to watch my club play some like relegation fodder team?"
Oh, no.
You're an asshole. Like, all right. And then so we obviously we beat them, and I'm still, maybe there's a little part of me still riding the high I got off of like his emotional breakdown, realizing like how badly he had just eaten crow. So that's usually what I do with the most, is all of these like, I'll say it, plastic Chelsea supporters.
Right. Well, they are.
Yeah. Because if you support Chelsea, you support Tottenham,
right?
Like, what was that?
Any American Chelsea supporter is plastic at this point, right? I mean,
I respect. I mean, I'm not going to like write off people that support top 6 clubs, because like I'd be writing off 90% of American Premier League sport.
I'll write them off. I'm writing them off.
But when you don't watch your club play that game week because you don't consider the opponent they're playing to be like exciting enough for you, that to me means that you don't give enough of a shit about your club to support them. Like, if we only watched West Ham play top 6 clubs, we might have a better impression of our quality if we only watch them play clubs above us. But yeah, that's just, it's so contradictory to like what we go through as West Ham supporters, where we are going to go through the shit and like we're going to show up the next game week to watch regardless. That's like second nature to us. So when I come in contact with somebody who's like, yeah, like I don't know if I'll watch the game this week, like why bother? That irks me. Like that doesn't feel like a real fan.
I mean, most Chelsea fans I know don't really know that much about football. They don't really know that much about Chelsea. They're the kind of fans who, they sort of need a club. They see that Chelsea are a successful club.
Yeah.
But they don't. And I took my nephew to see Chelsea play the Revolution here in New England a couple months ago. My nephew's a pretty legit fan, I have to say.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he really does. He's a very knowledgeable Chelsea fan. He's also like 14, so. I mean, I have time to work on him, but
yeah,
exactly. The people sitting around me did not impress me as fans, just to be honest.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who's a casual Hammer supporter who lives in Philly, came over with some of his friends from college the other week, and so first time I met any of his friends, we happened to be out at a bar, and my buddy was like, "Oh, hey, like he's a Chelsea supporter," and so naturally I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I think I noticed that when I meet supporters of clubs like Chelsea, and they hear that I'm a West Ham supporter, they like don't know how to register that. Like they're not used to meeting people that are supporters.
Yeah, that happens all the time. Yeah.
And they're not ready to. This kid did actually impress me. Like I had a really great and like cordial and educated conversation about West Ham and Chelsea with this guy. And then like a half hour later, another kid sat down and was like, "Oh, you're talking about Chelsea?" And he knew nothing. He was like, "Oh, you guys are gonna lose that. Who's that like poofy haired winger you guys have?" Like, Anderson? Yeah, he's like, "Yeah, you guys are gonna lose him and get relegated. Like, don't talk to me." And I was like, "Okay, like, you can see yourself out." And yeah, I feel like that's really, it's one in a dozen that can sit and talk to you, and the rest are.
I get people who like feel sorry for me, sort of. Like I had a guy approach me at work the other day, and I work in an office with about 300 people, and I most of them I don't know.
Yeah. And
I was watching the Women's World Cup, and this guy's like, "Hey, I've seen you wearing a lot of West Ham shirts." I was like, "Yeah, I'm a West Ham fan." He's like, "Wow, like that's cool." It's like you guys are pretty good, You know what I mean? It's very like, it was very what's the word I'm looking for? It was sort of as if he was talking to like a kid or
patronizing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of the word. He was very patron, and I know he meant to be nice about it, but he's an Arsenal guy, right? He's an Arsenal guy. And he's like, "Yeah, well, you're pretty good, West Ham." But I was like, "Well, I guess. I mean, not really." But he wasn't very patronizing about it. And I just thought that's almost. I would almost rather just have somebody come up and say, "Man, you guys are crap," you know. Because at least it's somebody who understands something about the club.
Yeah.
And that if you're a West Ham fan, we know what we are, right? Yeah. I was a Liverpool guy I used to work with who was really knew a lot about football, and he was very frank about what he thought about West Ham. And he didn't hate us, but he knew, and he knew I knew. So it's funny when they come up and they're like, "Oh yeah, you have a pretty good little team there," I'm like, "Thank you."
It's annoying. Yeah.
So nice of you to notice. Yeah. So I don't know. Tottenham fans, to me, you're talking about Chelsea fans. I have found casual encounters with Tottenham fans in pubs and places like that. I find that American Tottenham fans probably know the least about football in general.
Yes. Yes.
I think they know the least. And I know it's not just, they don't. I'm not sure they understand the difference between like the FA Cup and the Premier League, and they don't understand like preseason tournaments. I mean, I had one guy telling me one time that he went to England, and when he was in England, he saw Tottenham play in the Wembley Cup. And I thought, what is the Wembley Cup? I don't even know what that is. Like, it sounds as though maybe it was a preseason tournament, right? Played at Wembley at some point. You know what I mean? Because you're playing. It was before they played their Premier League matches at Wembley. This is like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They were still at White Hart Lane. So I have no idea what he was talking about. I was like, okay. I'm so glad you got to experience that, but I don't know what that is,
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound real.
Who they play? The LA Dodgers? I mean, you're making no sense to me. So, yeah.
So in person, the Tottenham are the worst supporters, I think, and especially in America. But online, I mean, I think Liverpool, man. Liverpool and fucking I think you're right about Chelsea. They're right up there. But I think Liverpool are just as bad, man, on Twitter and stuff like that, on social media. Extremely, I don't know, ignorant, cocky, the whole like Tottenham fans, but on But I don't see that many Tottenham fans on social media to make an argument.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I just know in person they're the worst.
Yeah,
especially the American.
Thinking about people who I run into in person, and this is, I guess, a consequence of circumstance. Smithfield Hall is also a hangout for a United supporters group.
Yeah,
and so they're there a lot. And even in the games that we're not playing against them, they'll chat shit with us, or like the West Ham supporters at Smithfield will like sing songs at derogatory songs at the United supporters and back and forth. And like, I guess, they have a good time. It's never been, too nasty.
Yeah. Because we've had Jake and Sean on, and we asked them about that. We asked, like, what is it like being, sharing the bar with them? And, they said, oh, we got a mutual understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. If anything, I remember on the last game day, we were playing simultaneously, and obviously we were having a great time kicking Watford's ass. And I think United lost to Cardiff, I think, on the
that sounds right.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, they tanked at the end of the season.
Yeah, so we were. There's a lot of there was a lot of singing about Manchester, and you only sing when we tell you, that sort of thing. So that's always a good time. Yeah, I've never had a bad experience with a United supporter at a bar or anything. We respect. There's like a Bayern group that hangs out there too. So like there are other fan groups that it's a big bar. So you got to share space if you want to keep it.
The fan group I find secretly annoying online is Manchester City, because because they still pretend that they are like a small town club. Do you know what I mean? Which they were for a long time, pretty legitimate. Yeah. I mean, they were. I remember when they were in League One or whatever it was called at the time. The third division, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it wasn't that long ago. It was like maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But a lot, and I know a lot of them were fans back then, and I understand that, and I respect that. I get that. But I feel as though online and on Twitter, they're always kind of like jabbing us in the ribs, like, "Hey, it's tough being one of us, huh?" And I'm like, you guys have had the money for a long time now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've had the money for a long time, so I can't really buy this whole like camaraderie among struggling clubs thing because they're not in that category anymore.
Yeah, no,
I think that they want to be, like proper fans and kind of put their arms around us like, oh, we're proper fans.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, maybe you are, maybe you're not. I don't know. I don't know when you became a fan. I can't really say.
Yeah, it's true. It's hard. I guess I would give more respect to the OG City fans than I would most of the rest of the top six.
I totally respect them because the truth is, I mean, if we ever got the buyout, that would be us. We'd be those fans, right? I mean, we'd be the ones who would be legitimately saying, "Hey, I was there when we went down. I was there when we struggled. I was there in the Arnautovic era and when Payet left." And so some of them are legit, and I know they are, and I totally respect them because, hey, you know what? Good for them. They can enjoy it. They suffered. It's the ones you just don't know who they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The ones who come along and it's like, oh, we're just little old Manchester City, and I'm like, come on, guys, come on. You're not even the smallest club in your town anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like Manchester United are starting to look like little underdog sort of strugglers compared to you. So no more of the poor mouthing is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Let me get into the chat room real quick. We're about halfway through. We got Scott Davis, Casey. You had Casey on the other night.
Casey, how you doing, man? It's good to hear from you. Casey's a good dude. I like Casey. I like Scott too. Don't get me wrong, but saying hi to Casey.
Yeah, we got Gabe. We got Gary, Gaz, whatever you want to call him.
Is that Gary? Is that Gary from South Carolina, or is that Gary from?
No. Yeah, I know. It's New Mexico.
Okay.
Another expat that we got going. Okay. Did you interview him with me?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I think you and I did. Yeah.
Yeah, you and I. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Last
week. That's right. Jesus Christ.
Always good to see my buddy Gabe. Who else is there?
Scott Davis, Wally.
Wally, yep.
Jimmy, aka Gingerbread, on Twitter. We got Jordan Harrison.
Lake Sebago, yep.
Yeah, we got Jordan Harrison, Neil from South Australia.
Neil, I respect you, man. Neil's on it. It's probably, what is it, like 4 a.m. or something? Who knows?
We got him coming on the 22nd, I believe.
Are we going to interview him at 4 a.m. then? Because
something like that.
For me is like.
No, it's gonna be a Monday show. I don't know what time. The 22nd, I think, is a Monday show. I don't know what time we're gonna have him, or what time it would be there. But Ray Borum, the guy that Wayne and Gary interviewed earlier today. What's up, dude?
Nice.
We also, the chat room is lively, man. I'll get to that in a second. Boy. Who else popped in? Okay, Thomas Fabian popped in, and that's a new one, I think. I don't recognize the name.
I think that might be one of my neighbors back home. He might be watching with my parents.
All right, cool.
Back home in Florida or back home in Detroit?
In Florida, yeah.
Florida? Where are you from? Where'd you live in Florida?
Port Charlotte, Southwest Coast, like near Sarasota.
Yeah. In between Sarasota and Fort Myers, in between there. What else we got? I think that's it. They're just going back and forth like crazy, man. That's awesome. So I asked them if they have any questions, and they keep, from the beginning till the end, they keep asking about my fucking hair.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything. I went to the beach today. Here's the story. Attention, but tonight you're getting the hair attention because you got something.
Here's the story. The story is I went to the beach. I had no service. If you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see, man. I got kind of a sunburn going on, so I can't wear a baseball cap right now. Yeah. And my hair is all like sun dried. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I got a little cut earlier, but no, I mean, I'm not wearing a hat because my forehead is killing me right now. So that's the story.
I can't remember the last time I saw your hair. Now that I think about it, you always wear a hat.
Mostly, mostly.
I mean, I've probably seen you without a hat like maybe 5 times in the last like 6 years.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's see if we can get any other questions besides my hair.
Not really. No, I think that's all they care about.
No, there was. I swear there was. Okay, so while he was talking about Philly, and because he was asking Nick if you've ever made the drive, or you'd be willing to make a drive over to Philly because he's there, and Wally is Wally World on Twitter. He's one of our dear friends.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Yeah, he's our friend.
Yeah, but I cut him off and said, well, it just so happens that someone reached out to me on Facebook asking me if I was Tim from Nashville Hammers and, you know, if I can give them input on how to start a group.
Yeah.
In Philly. And I'm like, no, I'm not, but I do this and would love to have you on sometime. And I know for a fact at least 3 different people from the Philly or Philly area that would be interested in, you know, starting a group. So at least get you off the ground, you know, get some bodies there. And yeah, so they're super excited. I also said, you know what, if you want some pointers from people who have groups, you know, definitely reach out to Kyle in Fresno and Wayne in Dallas and maybe Gina over there in Denver and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm trying to get that going. So that's what's going on there.
Definitely. I mean, I've got friends in Philly I need to visit. It's short train ride wouldn't be bad.
Yeah. So you would, yeah?
Oh yeah, I'd go down to Philly.
Definitely. Scott Davis says, Nick, what Serbian should we sign at West Ham? I think this is like, I think he's doing that on purpose to kind of like.
He might be trying to get us.
I think he's trying to get us in a little fight.
Sorry, are you Serbian? Who's Serbian?
Yeah, no. So my family is Serbian and Croatian, which is an interesting internal conflict. But it has made me a quite vocal supporter of West Ham signing pretty much any Balkan players, and so I keep tabs on. I mean, especially players that are at the international level for Serbia and Croatia. You
can say his name. Go ahead.
Well, so it's not just Mitrovic.
No.
So for instance, when Mitrovic,
is he part of the drinking game, Mitrovic?
He might be now.
He's gotta be.
No, he should be now. He should be now. Yeah.
When Mitrovic helped Fulham get promoted, I was excited. He said, "Oh, cool! I get to watch Mitrovic play in the Premier League." Like I knew he was going to stay at Fulham. That's awesome. And obviously, everyone has heard my thoughts about whether or not I think Mitrovic would be a good fit at West Ham. But we've had. I guess I knew that we had no chance with Jovic before he got signed to Madrid. That was always going to happen. Ante Rebic, a Croatian that also plays for Frankfurt, of the 3 Frankfurt forwards that people talk about now.
They look sick. They look nasty. I was because of Allaire. I was watching the highlights of the trio, and the trio looks incredible, nasty.
Yeah, they do. And that's one of the reasons. And we might get on this topic in a minute or on the transfer roundup tomorrow, if anything. But that's one of the things I like most about Allaire is that I had only seen him as a function of watching Luka Jovic and Ante Rebic, but they play so well off of each other.
Yeah.
They all were able to sort of in that triad move around and play different positions. And like I think that is, especially in modern football, invaluable as a resource for a forward to be able to be that versatile. And playing off of other forwards, but yeah, I keep tabs on the Serbs and the Croatians as much as I can, and I try to watch most of the watching I do of non-Premier League games is teams that I follow because they've got like I would not watch Ajax under any other circumstance if it were not for the fact that Dusan Tadic played for Ajax. And stuff like that, and so I do try to keep up with that. And Croatia, obviously, we saw Croatia do incredibly well at the World Cup last year, making it to the finals and everything. And so they got much more on the radar because of that. Serbia, unfortunately, leaving in the group stage, despite being, I think, a severely underrated squad in terms of talent.
Yeah.
But it has made me, I've been able to be a little less ashamed. Like I can talk on Twitter about these players that other people are like, why would I be watching, some midfielder at like Lazio? And like, because Milinkovic-Savic is one of the best young midfielders in Europe, and I'm watching him because he's Serbian. So like, stand back while I.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's paid off in that regard.
Yeah, no, I understand. But so now talking about Rebic and these other names you just mentioned, like, why would you be excited at all about a Mitrovic? You know what I mean? Compared to those other players.
We got to be realistic, I suppose. Like, it's one thing, and he's somebody that we got linked with separate from my watching. So
gotcha. Yeah,
I believe me, the amount of times that I've like been watching a Frankfurt game and been like, oh my god, why do we just not sign Ante Rebic? I love Ante Rebic so much. Unfortunately, my lack of a back channel line to Ucios's office
Yeah.
Cap him up. And so as soon as, I mean, like I was a fan of Mitrovic, I'm not going to say Mitrovic is the best Serbian player on the planet, far from it. But having seen him play in the Premier League and play for Serbia, and I do like him as a player. And then
Do you think he'd be a good fit? Is what you're saying? Yeah. And
yeah. But I already liked him.
What if he was over in Frankfurt? Like,
once we get linked to it,
playing in Poland. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just got to turn on once we get linked to somebody, because that's now I've got a legit. If I just start talking about random Serbian players, people aren't.
All right, we got another question here for you. We don't necessarily have to go this deep, but basically they ask, what are either your 5 favorite what are your 5 favorite football or sports movies or documentaries? So basically, word that however you choose and answer it however you choose, I guess you say. Like, just name out some your favorite documentaries or sports movies or
all right, we can probably get 5. I don't know if I can get them in order, because that's
fine.
Yeah. Well, so as the cop-out answer, but like also very legitimately, the Iron Man documentary, I watched, and I was expecting to be like, oh, cool, neat, like the West Ham documentary about us moving stadiums, and I was like, found myself like on the verge of tears, and I was not expecting it. So that's definitely in there. I think if I had to pick a favorite, I watch a lot of the 30 for 30s. I think they do a really phenomenal job with.
Yes, they do.
And the Bad Boys Pistons era 30 for 30 is probably the one I've watched the most often.
Mine is Taylor Two Escobars, man. That's mine. And that one almost made me cry. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Taylor Two Escobars is fantastic, and it's just it's gripping all the way through.
It is
it's sad and it's tragic, and it's a great.
I saw the Pistons one too, man, and that was awesome. You are right. That was a great documentary.
But the best one is the one about SMU football getting the program.
Ooh, that's a good one.
87. I love that one.
Yeah. one that I just watched recently. One that I just watched recently for the first time. Well, shout out real quick to the 99ers 30 for 30 that Julie Foudy helped produce. That was really incredible. But also, I just watched the I forget the name of it, which is killing me. But it's about both Petrovic and Vlade Divac coming to Yugoslavia.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah,
that too.
On the note of being a Serbian Croatian.
I love Drazen, man.
Yeah, and I like the way that, and it's not all of them, because it depends on, I guess, the content and however they structure their documentaries. But a lot of them that you have somebody who's intrinsically related to the story is doing the producing or doing the narrating, and is both a character in the retelling and the person retelling it. I think is a really awesome way to experience that, and especially in the case of the Vlade Divac one, where he was able to narrate the documentary, even though Petrovic had passed away back however many years ago. So that was really cool. That's definitely another top one for me.
Have you seen the one? I know we want to move on, but take an hour and a half. Watch the one with Deion Sanders where he talks about trying to play in a baseball game and a football game in the same day.
Yeah,
it's just you can't take your eyes off of it. Because it's Deion, it's mostly just him talking about it.
Yeah.
And then somebody else talking about how much they sort of hated him. What they thought he was. And he's just laughing at the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's really pretty well done. It's really pretty well done.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, people forget Bo Jackson played 2 sports, but he never tried anything like that. He didn't never go from one to the other. He played baseball, football. Yeah. But Deion was trying to do football and baseball in one day.
Yeah, and Jordan wasn't good at baseball
as well. And he did suit up for the Braves. He didn't get the game, but it's pretty darn good. Pretty darn good.
Yeah, I like the question in general. So thanks, Gingerbread. That was Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. And also, he says you don't know Bo is his favorite.
That's a good one. Yeah, really good.
And Gabe says I like the Christian Laettner one. I did too. I like that one a lot.
Oh yeah.
And then the Fab Five doc was pretty good. That's what Casey said. Mm-hmm. And Gabe also says they did one on the 2005 Rose Bowl.
Oh, really? The Texas USC game?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great game. I was actually glad Texas won that game. I got so sick of Pete Carroll. I still hate Pete Carroll. Anyway, we're getting way off into different topics.
Yeah, we are. But no, listen, that was a great question, though. I appreciate that, Jimmy. And Someone's Scott's just full of it today. He's poking like Tompkins, PSG. PSG.
No, I have been so good about not talking about that stuff.
I know. It's just a thing of ours. I think that's going to be the next design of our T-shirts. So I gotta mention that. I was trying to come up with different T-shirt ideas, and I was thinking, get one with. I was trying to Photoshop the photo. I'm sorry. I was trying to put the Photoshop of Lee on Andy Carroll, his face on Andy Carroll with his thumb up in the air on the shirt, but they told me that it was too many colors, and I couldn't Anyway, it was becoming a hassle, so I had to
black and white. Do it in black and white. More dramatic.
Exactly, I should. But, the thing is that so instead, if you guys notice, our last design, or our second design, which says American Hammers TV, it's got our logo, and then underneath it, whatever, American Hammers TV. On the back, it says West Ham supporters overland and sea.
Yeah, it's cool.
Somebody reactivated it, so it's up again for another 13 days. If you want to purchase one of those shirts, that would be awesome because it helps the show, which is great. And
we are going to give 10% to the DT38 Foundation and 10% to Isla as well. So
yes, and we already have given from the first batch, or the first two batches, we've already given 10% to DT38 and Isla, which is awesome. So this next batch, we're going to wait. Well, I'm sorry, the second design, we're going to wait for the second batch to fulfill, and hopefully you guys buy some shirts because we sold so little of it that I'd be sending them like 79 cents. So,
right.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the first one we sent like $30 to each. So that was awesome.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. That's not bad. Yeah.
So
from out of nowhere, that's pretty good. From out of nowhere, that's good.
Yeah. So this one, please, help us out with that batch. Otherwise, we did release a new design, which is like a jersey. We call it a jersey shirt, I guess you'd say. You can have it on the sweatshirt, t-shirt, long sleeve shirt, whatever. It's got our logo, where the crest would be, and then on the front, at the sponsor section, it says Strava Craft Coffee. On the back, above the number, it says drinkweardesign.com, and then the number 19 because that's the year that we founded. So if you guys want to pick up one of those shirts, we also added. In true English form, we added a yellow shirt for that as well. So, if you just to change things up, we threw in a yellow design to make it look like a jersey. Anyway, also pink. There's pink shirts now. If you want to grab some pink shirts too with our logos on, and actually with the StravaCraft logo on it and our logo, it looks really cool. So, check it out. And the link is in the description, just so you know. And it definitely says our second design, it says, bonfire.com/AHTV-2. Well, you'll recognize the link below. It says bonfire.com/AHTV jersey. Mm-hmm. That's the one. It's not a jersey. They're t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirt, but they look like a jersey. That's why we call it that. So don't get confused.
And there is a link on our website. Our website is mostly up at American Hammers.
No, dude, it went down again.
It went down again?
Yeah. It said they told me to piss off. So GoDaddy, just real off topic real quick, and I'm going to say this on the air. GoDaddy used to be awesome. All right. I loved them. I used them for many different things, got my domain, and then they had a free website builder, blah, blah, blah. And you just pay a small fee and you get the website, they'd host it and everything like that. Fantastic. Well, now they changed it to something called Go Central, GoDaddy, Kakafarts, and whatever the hell it is. And it's like literally $300 a year or $30 a month or something like that. It was bullshit, and I'm not paying that for what they offer because the website is not really worth that much money. You know what I'm saying? We're in the works right now trying to figure out another option because we definitely want to start selling stuff, not just through Bonfire, like our own stuff, so that we can give you some goodies inside the bags that we ship out to you and so on, and handwritten thank you.
We'll talk about this later, Tim. But I got to go on this work trip next week. When I get back, we'll work it out.
Yeah. So everybody just bear with us. Just in the meantime, just literally watch our videos and use the links in the description to buy stuff from bonfire.com or go to StravaCraft and buy some stuff. And
apparently, if you guys need website help, I just got a text from my brother, who I guess is watching, who does web design, and said that he'd be happy to help. So
that would be wonderful.
Yeah,
we've been over this so many times over the years. I do not know how to design a website. I write content. All right,
I always use you. Every time I've had a club or something, and I need a website, I always make Lee do it.
He always makes me do it, and it always looks like crap because I don't know how to design a website.
That's not true, Lee.
No,
That's
it's
not
true. It's
You
always
do a good job. That's why I always go back to you.
It's always true. So I can write for it because I write, but I don't know how to design one. So yeah, Nick, if your brother can do it, man, I turn it right over to him.
So besides, before we get crazy, and we're gonna discuss a few Hammers poll. Like maybe we'll discuss one Hammers poll, and then we'll go into the 10 questions. But before that, I do got to mention our good friend Nick Tucker got engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah. So congratulations, Nick from Crossed Hammers. We love you. You've been so awesome to all of us. Americans who've reached out to you heading over there. You've helped people, Americans sort out with tickets. You've also, shown them around and, shown them the spots to hang out at before and after the matches. I know Cam from Tampa has met you, and I know, David from Boston's hung out with you as well, and maybe, plenty of you others. So listen, Nick, we just, congratulations, my man. Just wanted to say that before I forgot.
And you know what else I saw today, Tim? I saw on Instagram, big going away party for Jack Collison. See it? Yeah.
No, I haven't. I had no internet all day.
Big going away party for Jack Collison, and he says not long now, and he puts the little American flag up there. So he must be making the move.
No, it's official. Yeah, he's going to Atlanta.
Going to Atlanta, so we have an MLS club to support at long last.
Yeah, and we're gonna make sure that he's full aware of the Atlanta Hammers down there, and maybe parents with them or so. That'd be awesome. Now, the other thing I want to mention, since I was on the topic of Nick Tucker, that we're gonna have Nick and Batman on soon.
Good.
I have them scheduled. I forgot the date. I think it's the 22nd, the same day that we got what's his name, Neil on. We're gonna have Neil in the morning, and then I think at night we're gonna have two shows that Monday, and Nick and Batman together. We've had them both on separately, so that'll be awesome.
I have the day off, by the way, so I might be around for those.
Jesus, please, man.
I know, right?
We're putting Wayne's gonna start charging us, man, if I have to use him so much. Seriously.
Wayne and Scott have done well. You too, Nick. You guys have done a lot of work for us, so yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, we really appreciate it. But it's not only for us; it's for all of us.
I kind of
belongs to all.
wouldn't say I had to beg them, but I definitely I definitely made it aware that once I heard that they wanted to do something, I'm like, you got to do it on our channel, like please.
It belongs.
I appreciate that. We really do, Nick. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, with a pleasure.
Let me just pull up a Hammers poll real quick, and we'll get into it and get your opinion. We'll start off with Nick's opinion. Okay. God damn, they put all these polls about these shirt designs, and I don't want to talk about that today. Okay, so 12 hours ago, Man United have agreed an £80 million fee, which is a world record for a defender, for Harry Maguire, after their failure to land Diop, right? So who's the better defender, Maguire or Diop? Nick?
I guess I feel like you got to say Maguire. I don't want to endorse that valuation of him.
Ridiculous.
It's
just fucking crazy.
But I think as much as I love Diop, and he had an incredible first season in the Premier League, he's a young guy. He's got a lot more room to grow. We even saw he slowed down a little bit towards the end of the season when he wasn't playing. Balbuena was out injured, and Diop was starting every game, and that's tough for anybody. But you can see, for as many times as he makes some incredible last-ditch tackle or something like that, he's a young player, and I don't want us to get too caught up with the games that he's incredible. I think Harry Maguire is a seasoned defender. I think he's quality. I don't think it's a big gap. I think that they're both well-equipped, talented defenders. But I think, especially with the international experience, Harry Maguire doing what he did with England in the World Cup, there's some intangibles there that I think you can definitely point to for Harry Maguire that, unfortunately for Issa Diop at his age and the lack of making it into the first team, the senior squad for France, you just don't have the example yet to maybe he's got it. I can't say that he doesn't, but we don't have the proof so much as we do with Maguire. So I'd give the slight edge to Harry Maguire based on that.
Right on. Lee?
I agree. I hate to agree, but the thing about Issa is I love him, but let's not forget, we talked about this on the show toward the end of last season. He had a dip in form. I think it was in his first season in the Premier League. It was a little more physical, a little more taxing than he thought it was going to be coming out of League 1, which is
Same league as PSG.
Which is at a much lower level. It is at a far lower level. I do think at his age, he's someone we should keep. I'm glad we're keeping him. I hope he's with us for a long time to come. I think he and Balbuena form an excellent partnership. But I do remember that we talked about should he be dropped. He did actually, I remember, take a couple of games where he didn't play. I don't know if he was injured, but he didn't play. Let's put it that way. And he came back stronger and he came back better toward the end of the season. But he had a dip in form in maybe like March, April. And I think Harry Maguire, as Nick said, is probably a more seasoned, maybe a little bit more reliable player. I think Issa will get there. And I have faith in him being somebody who's going to be in the core of our side. But if I had to choose between the two without money involved, yeah, I'd choose Harry Maguire. I would.
Just like
pounds, you got to be out of your mind.
Yeah, that's just buying Leicester another championship right there. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of money to play with.
Yeah.
For them, I'd be excited if I was a Leicester City fan. Getting that much money. But anyway, no, listen, you're right about Diop. We did talk about that a lot last season, and we were only there for half a season. You know what I mean? We've only
that's right.
around for half a season, and we were saying that it's really no excuse. The dip in form is the dip in form. It has nothing to do with who he's playing with. I mean, you're your own player. You know what I mean? Like you either step up, you're either flat or you're not flat, and he was flat a lot. Like not consistently. But he had a lot of games where he was just right out of the gate flat, and he looked like shit. But I mean, and then he had amazing games. So again, so did Felipe Anderson, and that's the thing. When you're coming from a league, like you said, that's not Premier League, like a Serie A or a Ligue 1 or whatever you fucking want, or La Liga or whatever. I mean, Fornals, like who knows if he's going to need a year too to settle in. I wouldn't expect fireworks straight out of the gate with him either.
I agree.
Sometimes it takes a little bit of time with these guys, and you know what? But I think this season, Anderson and Diop are going to look like 20 times better because they got that experience under the belt. They got the what it feels like to be in that league and the pace and the physicality and everything else. So anyway, there was a few other questions I had skipped by accident. I didn't even see them, so we'll just go through them real quickly. Gary from New Mexico, aka the guy from UK. Who interviewed with us earlier. He's part of American Hammers TV now. He says, who's your top 5? This is for Nick, by the way. Who's your top 5 players of all time, West Ham?
Specifically West Ham players. Let's see.
Top 5.
I, being a younger and relatively more recent West Ham supporter.
It could be your era, too. Yeah, that's fine.
That's
I think regardless, I think Mark Noble gets the one spot. It's just, and that's, I guess there's a bit of a bias because he's, still actively in the squad.
Mm-hmm.
So, we see him week in, week out, but you just can't. I mean, there's nothing I can say about Mark Noble that has not been said 8,000 times about Mark Noble and how incredible he is just as an idyllic player, club captain, everything you could want in a player is Mark Noble. Then it gets crowded, I guess, in the next 4. That's really tough. Lanzini's up there. I think Lanzini's given us some moments that I know that lately opinions have been split. I think, but in the time that we've had Lanzini, I think he's been important and exciting to watch. And he's still a player even now where we wonder, like, how recovered is he from the knee injury? Is he going to be back in peak form? Is he going to be consistent? Still, whenever he gets the ball, I get excited that he has the ball. And so that's, there's only so many players that you sort of feel that way about. Winston Reed might be up there as well in terms of players with devotion to the club. I don't want Winston Reed to be starting for us anytime soon, but he probably makes the upper cut, whether top 5 or however, just because of he's been a servant to the club, and it's hard to not respect somebody who's been a servant to the club. In probably the most controversial pick, I don't think I can not say Andy Carroll. I have a soft spot for Andy Carroll that some have asked if it's a medical issue. My soft spot for Andy Carroll, it might be. I'm not a professional, but he was the first player I ever got printed on a West Ham shirt. And I'm not a big fan of getting players put on the back of shirts, but for a long time, I thought, when I thought of West Ham and I thought of exciting goals, I thought of Andy Carroll. And even though they were few and far between and his appearances were few and far between, when he did put the ball to net, it was extraordinary. And that, that's, even if it's few and far between, that's all you can ask for from a striker at a certain point. That looking back on him having now left the club, am I glad that I got to watch him do things like that goal against Crystal Palace? Absolutely. I remember exactly where I was jumping off the couch alone in my apartment in grad school when he did that. A fifth, maybe, and this is maybe from real early in when I was starting to follow West Ham. Kevin Nolan.
Yeah, I like that one.
I think could also fit in there. I think I've developed a pattern here, maybe with
underappreciated player because Sam Allardyce brought him in. He played the Allardyce style. A lot of people didn't like him, but he scored a lot of critical goals for us. He was a leader for us. Underappreciated player. I agree.
Yeah,
really good player, and a good leader for the club too.
I think I'm drawn to players that I consider underappreciated. I think those are players that I enjoy the most. It's the same reason that we've all been obviously such huge fans of Declan Rice, who, while early in his career with the club, I could consider him one of my favorites. He's the kind of player by nature of his position and his style of play that his highlight reels they're not goals, they're not crazy exciting moments. They're him being a staple in the 11 that without him we'd be conceding, or without him we'd be still as shambolic in the midfield as we were for a long time before he came around. So those players I think have a special, obviously scoring a screamer is awesome. You see like Pedro Obiang's goal against Tottenham, incredible. You love to see a player rip something from 30 something yards out. But at the end of the day, the players that go unappreciated and still do it every week, that's a class above.
Yeah, so Payet would be my number one, for sure, from our era, just for like everything that you said. I mean, number one, he's underappreciated because of how he left the club, even though I think there was a lot more to it that had to do with, him going back home for personal reasons. So I really don't, fault him for that. But yeah, for everything that he did for us in that short time little capsule, I mean, it was just unreal. I can't even put it to words how awesome he was for our club. The excitement level, I've never felt that, except that year, in championship when we got promoted. Really haven't felt that excitement ever, other than, a match with him scoring goals. So I don't know, but there was one other thing in here too before we get going. We're going to go a little bit overtime here. I did want to mention, because Ray was our guest earlier today, and he asks you, what is it like living in New York?
It's something else. So by nature of my master's is in urban planning. I have my background, so I studied cities for as an academic thing, and so I love cities, and that's sort of what brought me to New York in the first place. And so it's definitely not for everybody, but I think when you come visit New York, it can be very exhausting because you're by virtue of you visiting. Nothing about visiting New York feels like living in New York unless you're with somebody for a week that can not take you to any of the touristy spots or do all that thing. Like my family will come visit and we'll go do all this stuff, and my parents will be like, "Oh my God, I could never live like this." I'm like, "Well, we don't. I don't ride all over Manhattan going to see things every day." It's every day there is something exciting that you can go do or experience if you so choose. And in that sense, there's a lot of FOMO. There's a lot of fear of missing out. If you take a night in that you're like, oh man, like what's going on out there that I'm missing? But it's incredible. It's there at a convenience level. I mean, everything I need is, incredibly accessible. And at like a peak of excitement level, I can, run into, famous people on the street, and like it wouldn't be, it doesn't happen often, but like that, crazy stuff can happen in New York by virtue of you're in the biggest city in the country, and so it's definitely a lot. And if you're the kind of person that enjoys a lot, then it's fantastic.
Which neighborhood are you in, Nick?
What was that?
Which neighborhood are you in?
I'm downtown, Lower Manhattan. Yeah. I used to live in Bed-Stuy, in Brooklyn, which is fantastic. I eventually will definitely make it back to Brooklyn. Brooklyn has a lot of the neighborhoods in Brooklyn have the lower scale neighborhood sort of coziness that being this in the financial district does not offer. But it's what you make of it. There's a bar in my neighborhood that I hang out a lot, and my neighborhood after dark pretty much shuts down because it's mostly
it's not much going on down there. Yeah.
And so there's a bar in my neighborhood that if you go after happy hour and all the work crew is left, or like all the after work happy hour people have gone, it's a cozy neighborhood cheers vibe. And I'm friends with the bartenders. They're also football fans, and so I can go in and have a drink and not have to deal with it's sort of an oasis from the rest of New York. And so if you find the places where you feel cozy, then it doesn't matter that there's 8 million people walking around with you because you've got your spot.
Yeah. All right, it's 10 questions time. 10 questions time. So these are the old versions, which we've been doing when Wayne's on the show. He's got a new version that I like a lot better, but I haven't given it to us yet, so we keep doing the old version. So it's quick, rapid fire. You know what I mean? You can elaborate if you choose, but let's just get through them.
You tend to be James Lipton from inside the actor's studio.
Full English breakfast or pancakes and sausage?
Full English breakfast.
Favorite goal you ever saw West Ham score, whether it be in person or on TV?
They might be the same now because my first and only game that I've been over for was our Huddersfield at home this past season, and the winning goal, the Chicharito header.
Nice one.
Yeah, unreal.
Yeah.
That's a great match we're going over to. You know what? It's funny. We've had a couple other Americans say that they were at that match as well.
We have.
I think there was another NYC person there. Scott was there. Yeah, there were a few people.
I mean, there was a couple other people too. That's crazy. Huh? That's strange. I'm surprised you all didn't have a party. But all right, apple pie or meat pie?
Oh, meat pie.
I love meat pie.
Wait. You say meat pie over apple pie?
Oh yeah, 1,000%. Yeah.
You call yourself an American, sir?
I mean, not often.
in body, yeah, I guess.
No, I actually like meat pies too, but I love apple pie, so I don't know.
All right, word that makes you happy.
What was that?
Word that makes you happy.
Oof.
This one stumps everybody.
I don't like it. Yeah. There are so many words.
Yeah.
Can we come back to that one? Can we,
sure.
Can
Favorite curse word?
Fuck.
There you go. That seems to be the most popular one.
Who said twat? Somebody said twat, and I thought that was a fantastic.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
It's really even a curse word. It's really like just sort of a naughty word. It's not really a true cuss word. But anyway, I like it.
Depends. I mean, if you're there, it's in England, it's not really
that big of a deal. Yeah.
No, but you say twat or whatever here, and you can get arrested.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, team you love to beat.
Ooh, Chelsea.
I've heard that a few times. Yeah. It's mostly Tottenham, but that's the other one.
That would be my second. I think that's most of my friends.
And Man U. I've heard Man U a few times too.
Yeah, that's fair.
Shocker. All right, so name a player, past or present, that epitomizes West Ham United.
I mean, it should be easy. It's too many options. I guess Mark Noble, easy. I already talked about Mark Noble. Di Canio, I guess, would be a good. I mean, any of the
More Di Canio and Noble and Bonds seem to be the four choices that usually pop up over and over again.
Sir Trevor Brooking. I mean, it's a.
Yeah.
We did get a Scott Parker one time, and I love that answer. I mean, I do. I'm sorry, I love Scott Parker, but it's hard not to.
Yeah, we did get Scott Parker. Yeah, that's right. And I like that one too.
All those guys played with passion.
But Nolan was too. You know what I'm saying? Like Nolan was a very Scott Parker type player. I mean, he was very passionate, very strong, very he didn't let things go. I mean, he was a hard-working blue collar type player.
James Collins.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, man. I lost my track. Yeah. Player that you enjoy watching in the current West Ham squad.
Oh, Felipe Anderson. Easy, yeah.
Yeah, that one comes up a lot.
That's the most common answer, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the most common answer, yeah.
Until we sign Sebastian Haller. Which X doesn't have anything to do, by the way. Anyway, go ahead.
What player from West Ham's past would you like to bring back in the current squad?
Oh.
Meaning like, from any era, blah, blah, blah. So obviously, in their prime.
Yeah, I think you got to go Bobby Moore. Yeah. I think I would enjoy knowing that we had the best defender in the world. It would be really comforting. I would sleep better at night if we had that.
And then we could sell him for £100 million.
Oh yeah, easily.
And then squander the money on,
I'd say Rob Green.
Nordveit.
No, you wouldn't say Rob Green, Tim. You know who you'd say. Come on, go ahead, say it.
James Tompkins.
Yeah.
Drink. Oh God, I love these guys. All right, so real quick, I'm gonna hop back into the chat room. I missed all that stuff. I did want to mention though that there was someone in the chat room mentioned something about there being a group in Philly, and because I was saying that no, there's a new group in Philly, and someone was saying no, there isn't, or there already is one. I'm like, no, okay, so no, there isn't. We reached out to them and they disbanded. So there's nothing there anymore. There's like a couple people still lingering around the area, but there's nobody that gets together for any matches anymore, which is why this new person that's coming in is trying to get a group together, and they're probably going to have to do a whole new logo and everything else. Also, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is another one that was, when we started the show, they were around, and we're hoping that somebody in the Pittsburgh area will either, get off their butt and try to start a new one or get the old people back or whatever, because they actually agreed to do the show, and then when it came time to do the show, they said, you know what, we're no longer, so we can't do it. So that sucked. I hate hearing that. You know what I mean? Same thing with Philly. Same thing with Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach was another one that was gonna do the show, and I don't give a shit if there's only two people, as long as you guys are showing up and you're hanging out together and you're having a party. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to stay around, like do that and stay a group, okay, and then grow from there. If we have to have you come on the show and showcase you and everything else, that's what our show is all about, and that's what we're trying to do. So now there's another one. There was another group that okay, what was the other one that fell through? Philly, Pittsburgh. I don't know. There was a couple other. Oh, Orlando's done. Orlando was another one that agreed to do the show, and then when it came time to get them on, because we booked them out like 3 weeks in advance, they said, you know what, we're done. I mean, we're no longer. So there's no official group anymore. That sucks. Yeah. Orlando's a great spot that needs a supporters group. All the bigger cities definitely need something. I don't care. Like I said, if it's, 2 or 3 people,
Big MLS club in Orlando
will help. We'll be having, other people in the country that have supporters groups that will give you ideas and help push you to, grow your group. So don't give up. Never give up. All right. Anyway, what else we got in the chat room? All right. So John Black decided to make an appearance. Farting and burping as always. Yeah. Hi, John.
You'll see him in Vegas, Nick. He's the guy.
John, you got to, John, if you pay our way, we're more than happy to come on over, and me and Lee will come together and.
Yeah. If we should start like a GoFundMe.
Hey, how about the event sponsor us and have us come out there?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we'll do it that way.
We'll be the entertainment. We'll be the entertainment. We'll be the MC. We'll be the MCs.
We'll MC the whole thing. Yeah.
The whole thing. I'll do the whole thing. That's fine.
We'll translate for Dave and Mumbles. What's his name? X, West Ham employee. Yeah, we'll translate for them.
I don't know how X keeps his anonymity. I mean, haven't like 1,000 people met him by now? He does a podcast. He goes to events. I mean, people have to know who he is, right?
I know, and we almost had him on the show. We were going back and forth via Twitter, and he agreed over Twitter, not like DM or anything like that. He agreed to do the show, and then he never followed us, so we couldn't like do a DM. And next thing you know, he's on American West Ham podcast. So we ended up not having him on the show, which we were dying to have X on the show. We want X on the show. He's awesome. We love his, the content. We love his Twitter. I mean, I watched, his shit from day one. I love his stuff. And what was the other thing? Dave Walker, man, we had him on the show. He was fantastic. We love Dave. We love all those guys.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yep.
So we're hoping to have Dave back on. We told him that when the season, after the season starts, probably after the Vegas event, or maybe if we go out to Vegas, we'll do a live show with him, something like that, and John at the same time. We'll have John Black on and Dave Walker. We'll do like a big soiree with Scott Davis and everybody, and Nick and the whole 9 yards. I'm rambling now. It's about time to go. I've been out of coffee. I've been sipping on this cup with no coffee in it for like half an hour. I'm telling you. I'm like trying to stay awake. I'm sorry. Nick, listen, man. Love you. It's been awesome to have you on and finally get to interact with you, because you've done a lot for our show already and we've not actually get to talk. Yeah. So
really, really great to talk to you, Nick. It was a real
man.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me on. Definitely always a pleasure. I think I'm supposed to be on the transfer roundup tomorrow night too. So
awesome.
Yes, please.
If there's anybody watching that just couldn't get enough, come back in 24. Also, I thought of an answer to a word that makes me happy. I'm going to go with community. It's why I support West Ham, and isn't that just a lovely?
But that's the truth.
That's so nice.
That's the truth. No, but listen, that's the truth, and it's funny because
you listen to NPR. That's a very NPR thing to say.
no, listen, man. I'm telling you, the universe has been acting weird lately. Like I'm telling you, like my son wanted to watch a show while, in the other room while I'm doing this show, and he's watching Community.
Oh, you're kidding?
I'm no joke. I mean, these words, it's crazy. Things keep coming around. Anyway, somebody else mentioned that we've had on the show is their not the favorite word, but what they love about West Ham, because that's one of the questions that Wayne usually throws in is like, what do you love about West Ham? And it's not just the supporters, but in depth, meaning why we do the show. We've met nothing but awesome people through the show.
Yeah.
Like across the whole world. You know what I mean? We got Neil from Australia. We've got
Thailand signing in the chat room. We've got Neil.
Yes, we got Thailand.
We've got people from all over the US, all over the UK, all over the world.
We love every one of us too. I mean, like every one of you guys that we had on too. And it's been really cool. We haven't met any assholes yet, and we're not talking. You know what I mean? We're not. So it's really cool. I do want to mention real quick. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, our upcoming shows real quick. Tomorrow we have 3 shows. We have Belfast Hammers. So that's Northern Ireland, right? Please help. I think fucking Northern Ireland. So yeah, we got them coming on bright and early Eastern time, which would be about 10 a.m. Eastern time. And then we have Jason from the chat room, who I didn't see him in there tonight, but he usually pops in. He's also, if you watch live shows of Hammers Chat or West Ham Fan TV, he's always in there, chatting away, and it's just Jason. So anyway, we're gonna have him on from the UK.
It's like he just has one name. Yeah.
It's just Jason.
Yeah. It's just Jason.
No, he's got a full name. It's Jason Yules, but he goes by Jason.
I just like it being Jason. He's just Jason.
Yeah. And then Thursday, so we got the transfer roundup show later that night, which is awesome. We got 3 shows in one day and 5 shows in 2 days. That's fucking bananas. I love this. Anyway,
network now. It is. It's starting to feel like a real TV network. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Wednesday, since Lee's on vacation, that bastard.
No,
oh wait, maybe
it's for work. It's for work. I don't want to go.
All right, fine. So anyway, so
my employer is watching. I'm really excited about the opportunity.
Wayne is going to be going to be hosting the show on Wednesday night, which I usually do with Wayne. I'm swapping over to Thursday with Justin. So Wednesday, Wayne's got Ryan James from Boston. Lee and I actually met him at the event.
Yeah, we did.
The NBC Sports event, yeah. And then we got Nick from one of the founders of Mile High Hammers on Thursday.
Nice.
Yeah, we got nothing yet for Sunday, but we have a lot for Monday the 22nd. Monday the 22nd, we got Neil Hogan from Australia at 10 a.m. Eastern, and we got Batman and Alfred at 2 p.m., and then the transfer show, obviously. But Sunday,
Minneapolis on. Guy from Minneapolis is going to be on at some point. Is that?
I got them booked. Yeah, because listen, we do the 24th. We got Johnny Townsend from San Diego, who actually is from the UK but lives in San Diego. We got Noah Thomas from Memphis, on who's hung out with the St. Louis Hammers. He's in Memphis, Tennessee. We got him on Thursday the 25th. Alec from upstate New York. We got on Sunday the 28th. I mean, we get a lot of shows coming up. Zach from Maryland on the 31st. We got Dave Sperry from St. Louis on the 1st. I mean, dude, we got so many shows coming up. Yes, I did schedule with him. I don't remember what date I gave him. I didn't put it in the sheets, I guess. But anyway, we definitely get someone from Michigan. No, Minneapolis. Sorry, Minneapolis.
Yeah, Minneapolis on the 21st. 21st. That's a week from tonight.
Okay, Sunday. All right, good. There we go. So I didn't put that in the
Minneapolis. It's weird. It's weird that I love Minneapolis, but I do. It's a really great.
Put that on the sheet, but yeah, I'll get that going. So I'll just write Minneapolis on the sheet. Thanks for reminding me, because I didn't have that on there. That's fantastic. So I was just going to put it with somebody else.
That's why I'm here.
So just so everybody knows, we're definitely doing like we did today, 2 shows on Sundays from now on, to keep on adding up, because we're starting to expand and interview people from all over the world, which also means that most likely on the 21st in the 2 p.m. show is going to be. No, I don't want that to be that, because I want to interview them. Hammers Brazil has agreed to come on the show to kind of add some more spice and flavor, to the show.
Isn't your father-in-law from Brazil?
My father-in-law is from Belo Horizonte, Brazil.
Is he going to come on and help us?
No. They speak English very well, dude. And it's funny, they post a lot on Instagram, those live videos, which they just speak, Portuguese. But I asked them, like, hey, you guys speak English? You want to do our show? And they say, yeah. So they're like, actually, hell yeah. So that's awesome. And we're going to have them on some point soon. So anyway, long story short, we got a lot of shows coming up. So just like, subscribe, and make sure you click on that notification bell so you can get notified every time we post a new show. Please buy some shirts. We got some shirts down there, blah, 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 in the description. Buy some Starve Cup coffee and all this other stuff. Come on, your irons.
Come on, your irons. Thank you.
I'll talk to you off the air, Nick. Just hang on.
Yeah.